This is Penny Keener, Stampin' Up! Independent Demonstrator and the original Keener inker. Today we're going to be making an Ornate Garden sampler. This is one that's going to be in our 2021 annual catalog, but you can actually pre-order it. You can get the entire suite. We also have bundles with the Ornate Thanks and the Ornate border dies, as well as the set has the beautiful paper. You can also get in a bundle the Ornate style as well as the Ornate layering dies. There's also some great accessories, embossing folder, a ribbon pack, and then gilded gems. Today for the sampler, we are going to be using both stamp sets, the Ornate style and the Ornate Thanks, which are absolutely beautiful. We are going to be using the Ornate style dies. And with that, because it has such detailed work for it, for this particular sampler, we're using quite a few of the layers. You do want to use your Take-A-Pick tool and die brush tip to get all the extra cardstock out of those holes and to clean out your dies as well. A few of these, instead of doing an outline shape, actually does a kind of an inlay die. We're also going to be using the rectangle stitch framelits and the stitched shapes framelits as well. So to get for the colors we're going to be using today, we're going to be using the Memento Tuxedo Black and the Soft Suede stamp set pad. And then for Stampin' Blends, we're going to be using Balmy Blue, Old Navy, Poppy Parade in the combos, the dark Mango Melody, and the light Smoky Slate colors. For cardstock, we're going to be using quite a few: Balmy Blue, Crumb Cake, Old Olive, Pear Pizzazz, Poppy Parade, Soft Suede, and Whisper White. So to get started, what we're going to do is, I've already pre-stamped quite a few of these things, but I do want to show how easy it is to use with our Stamparatus. So this is the flowers they're going to be using. I've already die cut out my piece of cardstock. So what I'm going to do is take our Memento pad and ink that up. In the screen here just a little bit better. So the Memento pad, we're using that today because we're using the Stampin' Blends, which is an alcohol-based ink that when you use the Stampin' Blends, it's not going to bleed into your project. If we're going to be using water-based ink, such as our Stampin' Right markers, our stamp pads with a blender pen or aqua painter, or even our watercolor pencils, we would want to use StazOn instead. This is our Soft Suede. I like this little curly Q thing here. We're going to do that in the corner. So I'm going to ink that up with the Soft Suede and stamp that. And I like using the Stamparatus because you can see how it easily lays out. And if you notice, I have a little line there. So we're just going to flip this over, repeat the process. Because if you haven't figured this out yet, all Stampin' Up! Cardstock comes double-sided. And to clean this off, this is our chamois, and what I've done is I've actually cut it in half because it makes it really easy to use with our Stamparatus. So to make sure I don't get that edge again, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of clean that off. All right. Let's try this again. Oh, much better. All right, so I'm going to use our Stampin' Blends to color this in. And I'm just going to do a couple of these flowers so you can see how it's done. So on these little ones, what I've done is use the Balmy Blue, and I've used the light one. And I'm just going to go around the entire flower and color it in like that. Then I'm going to take the dark, I'm going to do the center, and then I'm going to go around the outer edge. I don't know if you noticed that I put down this little piece of paper because they do tend to bleed through. So just be aware of that, and it's always great to layer these because then you don't see anything from the back side. All right, so I've just done some Balmy Blue around the outer edge of that. For my leaves, let's do one up here just so you can see how I colored it. This is the light Old Olive. When I use the Stampin' Blends, there's not necessarily a right or wrong. I usually just start with the light and then add my dark. And all I'm doing on the dark is just kind of going over those black lines for the leaves veins. And then for the daisies, these particular ones I'm going to keep white. So this is my dark Mango Melody that I'm going to color in. And then because I don't have a white Stampin' Blend, I'm going to use our light smoky slate and kind of add shadowing. So it actually looks like a real flower because it's not going to be just stark white. And this flower here I really think is really pretty. So I'm going to use my light Poppy Parade on it. I love this pop of red in the project. Again, when I color, I usually start with the light. And then for this particular one, I'm going to go back over with the dark, and then where those black lines are, I'm just going to add a little bit of color on top of them. Now with the Stampin' Blends, you can actually just keep layering and layering and layering. Because you have the light and the dark, you can create depth in your projects, and they're just so beautiful. So for instance, if I want to go back and add another layer of blue on my flower, I can certainly do that. All right, so this is pretty much how I colored this one. I also stamped some other ones I'm going to color as well. So I have 3 single daisies here, and I'm going to do a white one. Same thing as on the bouquet one, where I'm just going to do a little bit of shadowing and keep it the actual color white. I'm going to do my Mango Melody, and while I have it out, I'm going to do that on all of them. And for my next one, I'm going to do the Poppy Parade. So again, I'm going to start with the light, do the entire flower. And because you can layer, you don't even have to be very exact. Just kind of get some color on there. And then on this one, I'm going to go over with the dark kind of coming out from the center. I just love that pop of red. And then for my other daisy, I'm going to make this one the Balmy Blue. So again, start with my light. And go to my dark for the center. All right, and then my leaves to finish this off. And go back with the dark. Again, you can add as many layers as you want to give that depth. All right, and I also had a little blue flower. I did the same thing I did on the big one. I did the light blue, the dark blue, and then the same with the green. But I think we want to go ahead and assemble this. So I've done most of the project here. You can see how I've layered it up. I've completed coloring that in. These little flowers, I did take my paper snips to cut them out, and I used dimensionals to pop them up. This is where that inlay was. I did use an outside shape to cut around it, and I did piece of Whisper White underneath of it, so it popped out both here and here. And So we're going to add the flowers that we just finished coloring onto this. I've been looking forward to seeing this as a finished project. All right, so off with the dimensional backing. And if you ever have problems getting these off, if you take your thumb and kind of push your thumbnail down, it kind of puckers that up so it's easy to grab off. I'm going to do my Whisper White one right in the middle. I wanted to add just a little bit of bling to this, so I've done the rhinestones, and how I did that was I just took the dark Poppy Parade and I colored my rhinestone. You can do that with the alcohol-based markers, our blender pens. And so now, since I have it colored the same as my project, I'm going to take my Take-A-Pic tool and the little scoop thing here, and I'm going to put it right in the center there to make that even pop a little more. So this project happens to be an 8x8. So I do have a frame I'm going to put it in. Unfortunately, I don't know if the glass will show it through very good, but this will be ready to hang on my wall and highlight the ornate garden. And of course, what do you call the last flower that you put on a sampler? Last bud, but not least. Please check out my website and subscribe to my channel for quick videos on how you can be a Keener inker too.